Hi, my name is Kelly, and I am so excited that you have downloaded our electronic toolkit. Using this toolkit is going to help you close the gap for your struggling readers and is going to transform your small reading group instruction. Through just a few easy steps, each day you will come closer to bringing those at-risk readers up to benchmark. You will receive emails and video messages from me every couple days to help you through this process. At this point, you've downloaded our toolkit, you've had a chance to look through some of the resources, and you're ready to start this transformative work. The first thing that we need to do to bring your at-risk readers up to benchmark is identify exactly who those at-risk readers are. We want to have data on them. We want to know which group we're targeting so that then we can prepare our instruction to meet their needs. One of the first resources you found in your toolkit is what I call a tip sheet, and it looks like this. I want to talk a little bit about the structure of this, and then I'm going to show you what it looks like when you've filled one out with student data. So looking at this, the first thing I want you to notice is this main area of the diamond is labeled Tier 1. This is where your students who are proficient from receiving universal instruction are going to go. These are our on-grade level students. And then what may seem a bit counterintuitive, and you might have to think through the first few times you use this, is if you go up in the pyramid, we're at Tier 2. These are our students who you have identified are not meeting grade level benchmarks. They may have started at the proficient level and have gone to here, or perhaps when you met them at the start of the year, they were performing below grade level. And then above that are our students that are falling into a category labeled Tier 3. This is typically where we have students who are on individual education plans or receive special education services, or over here they've been identified and are on a READ plan, perhaps they're on a 504 plan. Those are the students that are going to go up here in your Tier 3. Again, Tier 2 is below grade level, which seems weird because it's above the grade level on this form. But Tier 2 are students not proficient on grade level benchmarks. And then again, our Tier 1, our universal setting. Right here, the area that is below Tier 1 are actually our students that are performing above grade level. So they're meeting benchmarks that with ease, but then they're able to go beyond that. And then down here, you may have some students who've been identified as gifted and talented, or who continue to be outliers and that they are consistently scoring above and beyond grade level expectations. So again, it's a bit inverted when you think of students who are below grade level, you're going to be putting up towards the top of the pyramid. The reason is this is really that category, that area we want to focus in on. This is where we want to target our instruction because typically these are the students, I call this Tier 2, this part of the diamond, our gray area. These are where the students, they're not proficient in the classroom, but they're not receiving support services, or they may not even qualify for support services. They exist in this gray area that we need to make sure we're targeting, and we're reviewing their data, and we're looking at their progress monitoring, and we're designing instruction to meet their needs so that we can get them moved back down here and close that gap and bring them back to universal instruction. This may take some RTI, this may take some intervention. With the toolkit resources, you're going to be doing some structured literacy and using our Smarter program to design your small group literacy instruction and your decoding work to help them become proficient readers. So that being said, let me show you one that is filled out. And to fill this out, you can use any bit of data that you have on these students. Some teachers prefer to use DRA levels. Some teachers prefer to use scores from a standardized measurement. Some teachers are using iReady scores or STAR test results. Whatever quantifiable piece of data you have on these students in terms of their reading proficiency, that's what you want to use to level them into this graphic. So I decided to use the DRA, and I did this for a second grade class. So the DRA, we would expect students starting the year to be at a level 18 to 20. It depends on your school and your school district. There's a bit of difference on that, so I'm just going to go in the ish area and say 18 to 20 to be considered on grade level. So if you look at my Tier 1, this would be where students who did score at that proficient level, I'm going to write their name. So if you look here, I have Jamie and Claire and Frank. I had these students that were a 20. They were on grade level, so I put them smack dab in the middle of my tip sheet. Then I had a few students who were at that 18, so I'm going to put them above my 20 because they're closer to that below grade level. They're not below grade level, but they're not on grade level. So I'm going to even tier them right above my students who are on grade level. And they were at an 18. And if you notice, these 18s have little plus marks by them. This is to indicate, especially when you do a DRA and it's the teacher working with the student, it's not a computerized assessment. That little plus sign is because it was my observation that it was a strong 18. It was solid. There were no gaps. It wasn't shaky. It was a good solid 18. So I put that plus mark there. Then you'll see John was also at an 18, but I didn't put a plus. He wasn't a strong 18. He was just at an 18, middle of the road. And then Frank, who was at a 16. Now he had a plus. It was a strong 16, but he wasn't an 18. So notice how he's closer to that tier 2 range. Again, I'm still considering him on grade level at this time since we're in that ish area between 18 and 20, but he's the closest to that tier 2 column because he's the furthest away in this universal setting from my on grade level expectations. Then if we take a look at this tier 2, these are the students who scored below my grade level expectation of an 18 to 20 at this time. So we have a student on a 16, we have a couple students on 16s. We have a student on a strong 14, and we have a 12. So these are students, I may have seen proficiency in other areas in the classroom, but according to this assessment and this benchmarking tool, they were not on grade level. So I have ranked them, and notice I went in order of who was closest to proficiency and then going further away who was scoring lower or further below benchmark. So these are my targeted students in tier 2. My tier 3 students, you can see from their DRA level that they are definitely needing support. They may already be identified for a READ plan or a special education plan. And then looking at the other end of the tip sheet, I have my students here who scored above the grade level benchmark. They were in the DRA 24, one was a strong 24. They weren't at a 28 yet, but they were definitely above grade level. They were above that beginning of the year benchmark that I would expect. So I put them down here and above grade level. And then finally, my outlier, my student who just was above and beyond and almost an entire grade level ahead, is down here in kind of my area where I identify students who might be gifted and talented, or like I said, consistently go above and beyond the expected benchmark for that time of the year. So this will give you just a snapshot of where your students are kind of falling in terms of on grade level, below grade level. And it's really this tier 2 area where we want to focus our targeted instruction. Again, this is that gray area where you're going to be targeting this instructional work with your toolkit to close the gap for these readers so that hopefully the next time we do a DRA benchmarking or whatever assessment tool it is that you're using, we can get them closer to being in this area, to being closer to benchmark. So these tier 2 students, this is going to be who you're targeting through our work together. You may note that there's 2 letters A and a B and a B and a C. We will be discussing what that means in a few more episodes. So look for that information right now. You don't need to worry about it. All you need to be thinking about is how you're going to rate your students, because in our next step, we'll be using that to set goals for these friends as you get ready to plan for instruction. Thanks. I'll be talking to you again soon.